Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this day with the Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Welcome to this morning, this day, and this opportunity to be together in community, which is a time of joy, comfort, and sometimes challenges. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn more about being human. We're not here because we figured out life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We come here to learn more about being in relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion in one another. How do we make this tender place wider? How do we stretch into a bolder welcome, a radical generosity of the heart? Can we imagine ourselves the stewards and ushers not only into this space, but into our circle of belonging? Let us move into our time together, willing to be authentic with each other, honest with ourselves, and opening to connection in all its forms. My name is Sarah Walker, and I am a member of the board here at QUUF. As we gather, I acknowledge that the water, land, and shorelines here in Port Townsend are the traditional territory of the S'Klallam and Chimicum peoples. We honor and acknowledge our Indigenous members and neighbors and vow to help restore and sustain these homelands. If you're visiting today, I offer a special welcome and invite you to join us for refreshments and conversation in the fellowship hall after the service. We also have a newcomers table near the patio doors where our greeters are ready to answer any questions you might have. Welcome to you all this morning. We're glad you're here. Our lovely flower arrangement today was donated by Nan Toby Tyrell in thanks for Kathy Stevenson sharing her kindness. Here's an opportunity to reimagine adult programming. The purpose of this meeting is to raise awareness of considerations for adult programming and to provide an opportunity to share your ideas and thoughts in small groups. Scribes will record your input, which will be shared with the new Adult Growth and Learning team. Members and friends are invited to sign up and attend. The dates are January 11th in the evening on Zoom and Saturday, January 13th in the afternoon. Please sign up using the Sign Up Genius link provided in the weekly update or on a clipboard in the foyer. Now I'd like to welcome Mary Taberski up with an exciting announcement.
Good morning. Today, I am thrilled to introduce our newest initiative, Dining for Dollars, an auction that revolves around the simple joy of gathering together over meals. Dining for Dollars is a unique opportunity to build connections within our community while enjoying delightful meals with friends both new and old. This aligns with two essential goals of QUUF this year: strengthening the sense of connection and community among us, and raising funds to support the work of our congregation. So in the spirit of hospitality, we invite you to participate, to host a culinary experience of any size, big or small, setting the stage for the auction, which will kick off in February, when we can bid on the meals of our choices. For more details, you can find information in the foyer. If you have questions or are eager to learn more, our dedicated Dining for Dollars team members will be available after the service in the fellowship hall. Already, we have a few exciting culinary experiences on the books, from the flavors of Fiji to the spices of Mexico, the elegance of Italian cuisine, and the hearty fare of Alaska. Let's embrace the sentiment shared by Reverend Linda Hart. She said, "Using nothing more than the very ordinary gifts of hospitality, love, attention, and presence, we make the world a better place." Dining for Dollars is not just an auction, it is a celebration of community, generosity, and the impact we can make together. Thank you, and let's dive into these culinary adventures.
There are a couple other announcements that I'd like to share. One that I don't see in my script, I'm kind of scanning here for someone from the Healthy Community team. I do know that right after the service today, there will be an opportunity for discussion. Do you want to announce that, Raina?
Good morning. I'm Raina from the Healthy Community team, and we want to invite you during coffee hour to join us. There will be 4 tables set up where we can discuss the QUUF Right Relations Covenant. Each table is going to focus on one of the 4 topics. So there'll be a paper that you can read that has the entire covenant on it, and then each table, we invite you to write down your thoughts, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what you'd like to see changed, what's good, what's bad, and just have a conversation about it, because the Right Relations Covenant is a living document, and we want to make sure that it's working for us. Okay? So hopefully we will see you coffee, and if you don't want to write, that's okay. We'll be taking notes, and at least just stop by for a piece of chocolate.
You might have noticed, if you've been looking at your weekly update and listening to these announcements, that there are many invitations this month for you to participate and give feedback and to different teams in this church, including the board, the Healthy Community team, etc. Thank you for your attention. These are important times for us to hear your voices as we are making decisions and revising documents. And in that vein, I'll mention that it was announced in the weekly update that the board has completed draft revision of our bylaws. And in order to finalize those, we do take comments and input from the congregation. You have 3 opportunities to do that starting this week on the evening of the 9th, which I don't know what day I'm on today. It must be Tuesday night. There's a Zoom meeting available to share any questions or clarify anything you would like to know about the bylaws. And then there are 2 meetings in person in the following 2 Sundays right after the service on the 14th and the 21st. You can meet in a small group to do the same. So the link to that bylaws Zoom meeting is in the weekly update. I have one more thing, and this comes from Julia Cochran, who is a manager of our winter shelter. And at the end of this week, we're expecting some very cold weather, which will be a hardship for many people in our community. So the Winter Welcoming Center will be the warming center for the whole of Port Townsend, and they are in need of donations of blankets, sleeping bags, and individually wrapped lunches that can be given. They don't have facilities for preparing food there, so if you're able to help in any way, Julia would love to talk to you. She is present today in a beautiful purple sweatshirt. She'll be in the fellowship hall. If you need help finding Julia, let me know. I'll help you find her. She's standing at the back right now.
And money.
I hear Rosanna telling me that financial donations are also very helpful. Thank you. Let us settle our minds and calm our hearts.
Well, that was a fun way to start, eh, what? I'm going to take this back to you, just for the moment. Good morning, everyone. Words from my colleague, Monica Tennyson-Jacobson. What is it that calls you here, that calls you onward, that calls you inward, that leads you homeward? What is it that gives you the power to make that change, to ask that question, to take that journey? What is it that says you have done well, that asks you to learn more, that brings you to stillness, that holds you up in hard times? It is relationship, the beating heart of our faith. It begins when we share this hour, our truths, this air, our hearts. It is good to be together today. Let us begin with lighting our chalice. My little cheat sheet over here disappeared. Let us begin by lighting our chalice. Will you please say the words with me? Day breaks on our gratitude for family and friends, for the freedom to find our own truth, for the company of those who gather here, and the promises we offer one another. Let the light of day bring the grace of faith into our hearts. Our opening song is We Sing of Golden Mornings.
We sing of golden mornings, we sing of sparkling seas, of prairies, valleys, mountains, and stately forest trees. We sing of flashing sunshine and life-bestowing rain, of birds among the branches, and springtime come again. We sing the chord courageous, the youthful eager mind. We sing of hopes and content, of friendly ways and kind. We sing the roses waiting beneath the deep-piled snows. We sing the earth's great splendor, whose beauty round us grows.
It's the time for all ages, right? It's that morning, friends. We may be in trouble. Time for all ages, so I invite all those who would like to come forward, our children, the childlike, the childish, anybody who's like into seeing the pictures up close and not on a screen. Any of y'all, anybody can come up. Oh, all right, here we go. I have a few folks coming up. Yay, hiya. Welcome up here, you guys. It's nice to see you. How are you this morning?
George Strings?
Is this what?
Is that George Strings? Oh, it's not George Strings.
I can't quite catch what you're saying. Is it a name you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's not.
Is that George Strings? And I was like, oh, it's not.
It's not what you were thinking it might be. This is a book by a person called Amanda Gorman. She's a young woman. She said she read a poem at President Obama's, what is that called? Inauguration. And this is a book that she put out, and it's just such a beautiful book. I'm going to just read it this way, since everybody's up here, so you all can see the pages here, or you can look up there, rather than holding it up. It's called Change Sings, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful book for us. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. Does anybody recognize who that is? Anybody up here? A few of us? It's Martin Luther King Jr., isn't it?
I remembered who it is, but I forgot his name.
You forgot his name. You knew who he was, though? I'm glad you knew who he was. He was a dreamer. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mysteries, I sing with all the planet and its hills of histories. I hum with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I use my strengths and my smarts to take a knee or make a stand. You know what I love about this picture? Is that she's offering some food to someone else. That's real good generosity, isn't it? Don't you think? Yeah. I'm bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my change sings. I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. I don't make a taller fence, but fight to build a better bridge. I talk not only of distances from where and how we came, I also walk our differences to show we are the same. I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. Change sings where? There, inside of me, because I'm the change I want to see. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. What do you think about that? What are they doing? Looks like they're cleaning up their community. I kind of like that. I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the wave starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. What the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along? And that's our story for this morning, about change that we can bring about and change that we take part in, and change that comes even when we don't want it to. Happens to us all, doesn't it? Thank you for coming up and hearing my story. Let's, the folks on the aisle, if you'd make an arch, let's sing the children out to their morning's activities.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
We have the privilege this morning of welcoming and receiving 5 new members into our fellowship. They've completed our new member orientation process and are here today to join our community officially. So on behalf of the Board of Directors and our entire fellowship, I would like to welcome our incoming new members, Nels Peterson, Liz Lindstrom, Ricardo Gomez, Mary Forster, and Rufina Garay. And to express my hope that your experience here will be inspiring and transformative, both to you and to our congregation. So now, Rufina, Mary, Ricardo, Liz, and Nels, please join us in front. And Rosemary Adding and Elizabeth Walker from our newcomer outreach team and the board will help introduce the incoming members to our congregation.
Good morning. We're so happy to welcome 5 new members into our fellowship. Incoming members, as we read each of your biographies, please go over to Sarah and Reverend Linda to sign the membership book and receive your member certificate. Ricardo Gomez. Ricardo grew up in Colombia and lived in Canada before moving to the U.S. 20 years ago. He works remotely teaching information ethics to undergrads and research methods to future librarians at the UW, where he also does research on immigration and human rights topics. He likes to use participatory photography and games as research tools and to make research useful to the communities he works with. At home, he likes to bake, read, and watch the sunrise over the Bay of Port Townsend. Mary Forster. Mary grew up in Seattle, where her family was part of the Shoreline Unitarian Church, and she has many good childhood memories of SUUC. Mary's a retired librarian, having for 25 years managed search data for millions of images in the stock photo industry. She and Ricardo have 5 adult kids between them, and after the last one left for college, they moved to Port Townsend last spring. Mary has come to annual family reunions at Fort Worden since childhood, and she's thrilled to be living here now. She loves having time to travel, read, exercise, and make new friends. Rufina Garay. Rufina is the daughter of Filipino immigrants who moved to Wisconsin after her mother served as a doctor on a U.S. military base during the Vietnam War. Her maternal grandfather was a Chinese orphan who was briefly taken prisoner in World War II, along with her pregnant grandmother. Her paternal grandmother descended from Spanish conquistadors. Named after her two grandmothers, Rufina always includes her middle initial, which is C, to honor them both. A graduate of Amherst College, Columbia University School of Law, and New England Culinary Institute, Rufina works for social justice through the arts, land rights, and food security. She served as an instructor at a farm-to-table culinary institute and associate dean at the technical college that housed it, and as a private chef for Taoist retreats. She currently has a podcast called Food Love, the space between terroir and the Tao of food. I'll let you look up terroir. I had to do that myself. And she's also in the leadership of a national health, equity, and social justice nonprofit, and is a leadership coach for the Yale School of Management. More importantly, she's the mother of a spirited 9-year-old boy who is an empathetic environmentalist and avid reader, and she is the partner of a devoted dad with amazing musical talents. Elizabeth will take over.
Good morning. Nels Peterson has lived all his life within 30 miles of the Salish Sea. In 1976, he graduated with a BS in zoology from the University of Washington. Since then, Nels has been volunteer, employee, and contractor at the Seattle Aquarium and a volunteer Seattle Aquarium beach naturalist. While raising a family, he worked at FedEx, starting as a courier and finishing as a senior account executive in sales and marketing. Post-FedEx, he volunteered for multiple nonprofit organizations, including People for Puget Sound and Northwest Development Officers Association. Nels moved to Port Townsend in 2015. Photography is his favorite hobby, and he cares deeply about Gaia Earth, friendships, and community. Liz Lindstrom spent her formative years in the San Francisco Bay Area, earned an MA from San Francisco State University, and worked as a learning specialist in the local school district. After traveling the country in a renovated military bus named Cognito, she and her husband, Mickey, settled in Port Townsend in 1980. Liz worked for Peninsula College, then as a Montessori teacher, as well as running children's art and movement workshops. In 1995, she was hired to manage the food co-op when the business was changing from an all-volunteer model to paid staff. Liz's two creative passions are dance and singing. She was a principal dancer for the Moving Arts Dance Company for several years and has performed throughout the Olympic Peninsula as a jazz and classical vocalist. Recently, Liz experienced great loss with the death of her dear sister from COVID in 2020 and the passing of her beloved husband in 2021. She is excited to be rejoining the fellowship after having been a member in the 90s. She is seeking connection and is thrilled to be singing with the QUUF choir. Liz tells us that her religion is kindness, that, paraphrasing Mother Teresa, she aspires to do small things with great love.
Wow. This is several pages in. All right, there we are. Welcome again to all of you. I'm supposed to say all of your names, but I'm just going to keep moving because it's a long morning already. We are delighted to have you join us here at QUUF. As you know, our congregation is not based on a common creed, but rather on a common covenant, a way of being with each other in loving, supportive, cooperative community. As such, we do our best to be a source of strength and compassion and growth for you, and ask that you too become a source of strength, compassion, and growth for others here. It is lifting each other up and working collectively that we best make a vibrant and life-changing community. So I will ask you some questions, and when I finish, I hope you will answer, "We do," just as a hint for how you might want to answer that. Do you each wish to become a member of Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship?
We do.
Awesome. Do you affirm that you support the program and purpose of this fellowship and will work to uphold QUUF's mission, covenants, guiding principles, bylaws, and policies?
We do.
Welcome into covenant with the Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. And now, QUUF community, please join me in our pledge to these newest congregants. We, the congregation of the Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, gladly receive you into our community. Let us join together in working towards a deeper understanding of one another and upholding our covenant to love, to share, and to serve. Thank you, everyone. Please extend a warm welcome to these new members as you see them in the days ahead. You can be seated, whichever way. Phew.
We pause now for a time of generosity and to receive an offering which will be divided equally between supporting the food bank and the programs, life, and ministry of QUUF. The ushers will come among you and receive the offering, and additional ways of donating are projected or will be projected.
We are so blessed in this community, aren't we? Thank you, John. We set aside time each week for joys and sorrows. We know that our personal joys and sorrows are only a small fragment of the larger community of life, and so we place a stone to begin, thinking in particular of this week of the ongoing threats there are to our democracy as we creep into this election year. May we each do our part to defend it. We also, this week, will place a stone for the joys and sorrows that are among us, but unsaid. As we had no joys and sorrows sent into the office. Thank you. I invite you into a time of quiet and reflection together. If you'd like, you can close your eyes, maybe roll your shoulders back and let them sink away from your ears. Take a few long, deep breaths. Let us come into stillness together. As we breathe together, let us share this time of quiet. In this stillness, there are no words for us to say to each other, just the simple companionship. Nothing to prove, nothing to fix, no apologies, no recriminations, no angry words, just this, our breath joining, the quiet surrounding us. Hold on to this moment, quiet and peaceful, without demands. Allow yourself to be held by the moment too, be nourished, be healed, be touched. What connects us each to all is this center of stillness, of quiet, in which we can simply be. It is in that center of stillness that we are our most human, vulnerable to crystal joy, open to the loss that comes, seeking for what's better, seeking for a way through the world, touched by power and guided by truth. We are joined in the silence. Our breath comes together. Let us pause. So may it be. Amen. Our first reading today is our covenant of you know, it's one of those mornings. It's our covenant of right relations. And we're going to read the whole thing. You can say it with us if you've gotten it memorized. You know, just in case someone out there has been really enthusiastic lately. We, the members of Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, covenant to compassion, Be kind, speak from the heart, communicate directly with the person or persons. Right, person and persons involved using honesty and care. Consider what the most loving thing we can do or say right now. Forgive ourselves and others when we don't live up to this covenant. Begin again in love.
Curiosity. Be curious about other person's point of view. Assume others have good intentions. Be willing to admit that we are not always right. Be willing to let go of control of every situation. Reflect upon how our own projections, past issues, wounds, and tendencies color our stance. Be open to receiving feedback from others when the time is right.
Reverence. Honor our 7 principles. Appreciate and lift up the actions of others. Balance personal needs with the good of the whole. Honor the sacred space that we have created as community of travelers.
Respect. Listen deeply so others will feel heard. Avoid judging, blaming, shaming, or trying to fix others. Discern the difference between gossip and healthy communication. Respect confidentiality and personal boundaries. Trust that conflicts can be worked through rather than avoided. Respect each individual's unique learning style, social ability, life experience, gender identity, socioeconomic status, mental condition, race, age, personality, sexual orientation, theology, and politics.
Thank you. It's a tall order, and let me note we all fail at it. From Nancy Mayer's book, Ordinary Times, Cycles in Marriage, Faith, and Renewal. Conceiving of love as a warm fuzzy, you can readily forget how much work it entails. But it is authentic work, strenuous and productive, doing a do, not avoiding a don't. It puts you into right relation with God and others, reciprocal rather than hierarchical. At one time or another, legal penalties have been imposed for violations of all the 10 commandments, and still are for some. She notes, a stubborn child may still be turned over to the state of Massachusetts, for example. Anyone have children for whom that might have been a moment? But the Great Commandment is extra legal. Love cannot be forced, it must be chosen. You love not out of dread, but out of your own fullness. It's what you were made for. When you fail at it, you aren't sent to prison or the electric chair or to hell. You are commanded again. Love. All right, friends, it was a full service today. I did cut my sermon somewhat short, but you're going to get all of it, so just strap in, honey. We're here. We're on our way. Throughout the history of Unitarianism, there has been a wealth of covenants and written and spoken in congregations. Some of them even get etched into or painted into the walls of fellowships and churches, enduring years beyond when they were routinely said in worship. For folks, who think of themselves as always works in process, always becoming, holding lightly to their beliefs, you might find that a little bit surprising. Honestly, I do. I grew up in a church building that was made of cinder blocks and plexiglass windows without fixed pews, but rather those really uncomfortable plastic stacking chairs. You remember those? The ones that didn't have any padding and were like scooped out, but in all the wrong ways. I remember the first time I attended church at Troop Memorial Church in Pasadena, California. I was traveling across the country, staying with a friend of my mom's. We went to church, and there we were in the midst of this building with stained glass windows of Jesus. Very different from what I had ever experienced before. And then a minister who swept up the aisle as the organ swelled with into a hymn in his crimson-colored academic robes from Harvard. At 16, I had never seen any such thing. My minister, the one who inspired me into ministry, often preached in turtlenecks, confessed his use of marijuana in a sermon, terrifying every teenager in the room, chain-smoked cigarettes, and drank to excess. His robe was plain black, and according to him, spent most of his time in the dress-up box for his 3 boys. All of this is to say that Unitarian Universalists rightly have a reputation for and often embody the ongoing search for truth and meaning, an emphasis on growing in our faith and understanding change as the rule rather than as the exception. So imagine, again, my surprise when I went off to seminary and found all these historic affirmations of faith and covenants in the history of Unitarianism from James Freeman Clarke, 19th century minister who helped shape the Unitarian Church through that century. There's this chestnut. Some of you, those of you who've been around for a while, will be familiar with this one. The fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the leadership of Jesus, salvation by character, and the continuity of human development in all worlds, and the progress of mankind onward and upward forever. Is that familiar to some of you, I imagine? Oh, no, all right. Yeah, we used to quip when the UUA and the kind of the weight of Unitarianism is in Massachusetts and particularly in Boston, and people would use this and quip the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, and the neighborhood of Boston. Because it was really kind of different there. Anyhow. In the early 20th century, these words of covenant were written by James Villa Clarke, and they are emblematic of the kinds of promises that we make to one another in a covenant. It goes, "Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another." Beautiful and simple. Universalism, on the other hand, was rooted more deeply in theology, and so there isn't the same kind of collection of these statements that Unitarians had. The history of that movement wasn't in the same way grounded in covenant as the Unitarians and their religious cousins, the Congregationalists, were. And they relied more on their theology of universal salvation to bring them together. But covenant is a part of who we are as Unitarian Universalists. Through covenant, that is, promises that we make to each other as the foundation of our community, has been central to our faith movement. Even though that's been the case, it wasn't until the late 20th century that we started seeing covenants of right relations arise in the UU congregations. Up to that point, you might have covenants, but it wasn't really a thing that we talked about, and certainly not right relations, which is our topic for today, for those of you who had missed that. It started, I think, and I've gotten some confirmation on this, when Victoria, British Columbia, the church there, had an intractable conflict. And then District Executive Ann Heller went to help them recover from the damage that had been done. Her plan was to use resources developed by Gil Rendell of the Alban Institute to create an agreement in the congregation that outlined how they would behave with each other, with the hope that it would help avert future conflicts. It wasn't long before congregations began to adopt the process to create their own covenants here in the Pacific Northwest, and not much longer than that before congregations across the whole UUA began to do the same. There's a good reason to have documents like this. Human beings, I don't know if you figured this out, human beings can be really difficult at times. We can be mean to each other, misbehave in ways that astonish us in the creativity that the misbehavior exhibits. We hurt each other and have a hard time finding relationship again. Lord Almighty, we can do damage to each other when we don't intend to, when we don't want to, when we're sorry for it. I suspect most of us have done that at one time or another. I suspect that most of us have held on to a rosary of wrongs as well that we finger from time to time, remembering that moment of betrayal, of pain inflicted, of the careless disregard we experienced. We intone, how could they, as we slide our finger toward that next bead. I suspect most of you have known those moments. I sure have. That's why we need some understandings to help us make peace, to reconnect, to seek and offer forgiveness to each other for the things we've done in our clumsy human lives. There is not one of us in this room who doesn't need to forgive someone. Not one of us that doesn't need an apology given to them. Nancy Mears reminds us that love is not easy. You can forget just how much work it entails. It is authentic work, strenuous and productive. It puts you in right relationship with others, reciprocal rather than hierarchical. Love cannot be forced, it must be chosen. You love not out of your dread, but out of your fullness. It's what you were made for. When you fail at it, you don't get sent to prison or the electric chair or to hell. You are simply commanded, love. I'll say I think this is the most important gift of our Universalist heritage, the understanding that there is a love at the center of all that welcomes our whole selves in all of our glory and our brokenness, in our failures, and in our extreme, exquisite beauty. And it is that deep theology that urges us to do the work of love in the world, most especially as we live our imperfect lives with each other. This is why we covenant with each other. Our covenant of right relations is a simple outline, 4 key words that can guide us as we live together: compassion, curiosity, reverence, respect. And I'll note right away that those are easy to speak, and embodying any one of them is at best a lifelong practice. And there's not any of us who have mastered any of them. None of us. I'd even say that if there was a way to master one of these, it would be it would be certain that you haven't actually mastered them, right? That would be like, if there was a way, you wouldn't be able to anyhow. You would know by believing that there was more work needed. And I have a stinging memory, maybe you have one of these too, when a friend and I had gotten into a conflict, and I sought to reconnect with her after some really, really hard interactions. She began to explain to me the way that she understood my life experience, that I would have trouble with doing this, and all the while she just continued to communicate to me that she had a better grasp of my life than I did. And I know I've been that person too. Right? It's ridiculously easy to forget that there is no there, right? There's only the trying. There's only the practice that helps us deepen and open. Only the learning, only the journey, ever and always the journey. I want to note that on our journey together, that there is an opportunity to think about this and to talk about this in coffee hour this morning, and I really encourage you to engage. Our Healthy Communications team has worked hard and are ready to listen today. We human beings are at best exceptionally complicated, and we like quick fixes, easy paths, clarity. We all too often crave perfection from each other. It is in community that we are challenged and supported best, I believe, in this journey with other human beings, making our way, finding our truths, discovering always how it is that we live out what we hold to be most worthy. Let us continue on that journey. Let us continue on that journey. Living compassion, being ever curious, embodying reverence, and offering respect to each other and ourselves, and all this wild, wonderful, beautiful, and broken world. So may it be. Amen. Let's join in singing again, Blue Boat Home. It's number 1064 if you want a book, and the words will be projected.
Oh, below me I feel no ocean, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, flying away by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on. Greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
We continue to learn that we are more deeply interconnected than we can even imagine most of the time. I discovered this description on Facebook. I shouldn't look at Facebook on Sunday mornings, but I did. And I came upon this, and I have to share it with you all because it is, for me, the perfect ending to this sermon and a perfect invitation as we go out into our weeks. It's a reminder that even in our difficulties and divisions, we are as one. Someone, the screen name is Duck Bunny, describes what happens when you pet your dog. He's talking about the atomic level of our being. Nuclei don't touch, but the nucleus is not the core of reality. Reality is made of dancing electrons. Reality is made of bonds. The atoms that you are brush against the atoms that are him, your dog, and the electrons that you are press into the electrons that are him, and both of them change their movement. Electrons, of course, are not really particles and they don't really move. You pet your dog and the electron orbitals of your skin overlap with the electron orbitals of his fur, and both are changed by the contact. You are not made of little motes floating alone in a void. You are a single, unfathomable chord formed of 1 trillion vibrations, and so is he. And the note you play is changing every moment by what you touch and how you breathe, and so is his. And atoms don't really have edges, and to touch is to interact. And when you put your hand on your dog, the universe does not know that you are separate. The song expands to hold you both. And so, my friends, may we sing. May we always sing together. Amen and blessed be. Ooh, that. Let's extinguish our chalice. We extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.